So in a previous video, I gave a brief overview of this book, which I said that is actually really interesting, not only because it's different, so it's interesting to me because it's different to what I've been doing so far when it comes to cybersecurity. And it's actually really exciting because for example, when you're talking about an asset or a target that you want to scan, let's say, for example, a penetration test, you only have a certain attack surface. But when it comes to, like, for example, when you're penetration testing a web application, you only have the attack surface of that application, and even though it can be really big, oftentimes you are bound to that web application. But when it comes to Internet of Things, the attack surface is actually greatly expanded, which is why I want to get into into one of the diagrams here and look over it a bit. So IoT hacking is extremely exciting, especially IoT penetration testing, given the fact that many devices that are connected to the internet have implemented protocols of security by obscurity, and that's really bad. Of course, it's good for the industry of cybersecurity researchers because there's a lot of work to do. So yeah, I mean, this is really interesting. So I'd rather focus on this than on focusing, for example, on bug bounties or other type of. So I'd rather, right now, I would spend, and I'm actually trying to get more time in hands-on cybersecurity because I'm doing a lot of machine learning right now, as I'm machine learning and development, as I'm actually building Alter AI, which is a framework for which is an AI framework for entrepreneurs, creatives, and personal use. It's interesting. Now, anyways, what I want to say here about the IoT hacking is that its attack surface is really, really big. So let's actually look here, for example, at page, should be here somewhere. Yes, this one. So this is actually, let's see. Let's actually zoom in a little bit. IoT attack surface. So as you can see here, IoT attack surface into conceptual layers. As you can see, as shown in figure 3.1. So let's say, for example, that you have an application, and I'm going to draw on screen here. So let's say you have an application. Let's say you have something connected to the internet. Let's say you have a very expensive fridge, for example, right? So with your fridge, just a second. So I'd rather probably move into annotate and then use this one. So again, very expensive fridge. Okay, so your fridge might have this attack surface. So as you can see here, we have passive reconnaissance, we have web application testing. So for example, let's assume that, and this all encompasses the fridge. You also have mobile app testing, you have cloud testing over here. So cloud testing, obviously the diagram is not very high quality. For example, I don't know why why the authors of this book used such a low quality for the diagram. You have host configuration review, and also you have the network layer, for example. So this is a very big attack surface for a fridge that is connected to the internet. Now, when it comes to let's try to get more specific. When it comes to the web application here, for example, so let's say that you have, for example, a control panel at fridge.com. And this is actually where the user base is. So in this case, you can control your fridge through fridge.com. And there is a lot to test here, of course. So you have, as they say here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So when it comes to, they divide the web application testing into 8 subcomponents. You have input validation, logic, flaws, application server, authentication, access controls, application mapping, client-side controls, and of course there are many others if you look into the OWASP top 10. Okay, now you can also do passive reconnaissance. So this, again, this is the attack surface for your internet connected fridge. You have passive reconnaissance patents based for that specific fridge. You can look that up. User knowledge, I'm not sure what they talk about for user knowledge, but they probably discuss it in later in the book, of course. Then you have the physical hardware layer, locks, peripheral interfaces, boot environment. This is valid and relevant because since the fridge is connected to the internet, these are also, all of them, maybe not the locks, but the rest of them are quite relevant when it comes to testing. So you would also be testing these. Now, cloud testing. So this goes hand in hand with app testing, as you can see here, denoted by this back and forth arrow. So you have, and of course you have the API as well. If there's an API for the fridge, probably is, because this is also connected to the mobile applications. So as you can see, the attack surface is really, really big. So when it comes to cloud testing, you're testing the web application. You might be looking for hard-coded secrets, as it says here. You might be looking using burp or another intercept proxy to actually see what the traffic and how the traffic flows between all of these components, especially when it comes to the physical, also with the physical and hardware layer in this case. Then you have the mobile app testing. Of course, a lot of IoT devices come with mobile applications. Like, for example, I can control my light bulbs from my mobile phone, or even from the Amazon Echo device, which is called, I don't want to say its name because I will be waking it up, of course. Then so you have the mobile app testing. You could be controlling your fridge from the distance and actually maybe change the temperature or have something I don't know, maybe cook you something if that's possible. Then host configuration review. Now I'm not sure how relevant this is, but if you have access to the web application or to the internal network, so host configuration with this network layer might actually be relevant. And as you can see, for example, here in host configuration review, you could, for example, look into what's on the device itself. So for example, if you have files, like this is very similar to what you're doing when you're testing a mobile application, like an Android application, for example. You look into the files, you look into the permissions, you look into the privileges, you look into what information the application stores outside of the root access level. So that's another layer of the attack surface. And then we have the network layer, and in this case I think they might be talking about the you could also see how the fridge acts on the network, for example. So if you connect the fridge to your Wi-Fi, you can see what kind of traffic flows from the fridge into your Wi-Fi, into your router, and then all the way up to the cloud and the web application. So yes, like I said, there is a lot of stuff to be testing at all levels of application, at a lot of the layers of the OSI model. So this is just to actually showcase how IoT devices, and I didn't even talk about maybe finding these using Shodan, Binary Edge, FOFA, or other like services that actually scan the internet at large. Maybe that's the topic for another video, but in this one I just wanted to actually increase the awareness of the attack surface when it comes to the very unsecured IoT devices. So yeah, that's it.